Mhm.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Renegade Con. Thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you, Lynn, for coming back to do another video. Will you reintroduce yourself to anybody who wasn't here last time for your sculpting video?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Hi, Rina. Thank you for inviting me again. And I am Ling. I'm a 3D sculptor, a 3D character artist, and I've started sculpting for Heroescape project back when Hasbro ran the crowdfunding campaign. And now the project was brought back by Renegade, and I'm still sculpting for it. And basically, that's it.
I am so glad that we have you on. One, because you're a phenomenal sculptor and you're just so much fun to hang out with and talk to.
Thank you.
And two, like we get to do some really cool, I mean, we get to do like these videos, which are really fun and really cool. And as of the time of this recording, we've had Heroescape at Renegade for 1 year. So it's Heroescape's birthday.
Oh.
Last time we did an overview of the process and the 4 stages you go through: block out,
Mm-hmm.
silhouette, structure, and details. Last time we did Scavareth, the big centipede monster guy.
Yes.
This time we're looking at a different kind of detailed model, one of the figures for our upcoming G.I. Joe Hero Escape release. I've given you a bunch of, the images of Cobra Commander, the mini that we have from like our master paint, and you're gonna try and like recreate part of it. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really excited because last time we did a monsters are cool and fun, but I feel like
Hmm.
most people, when they do sculpting, they're probably starting with people.
Yeah, correct.
So, where do you want to start with this?
Uh, I don't know how far I can go today. We only have a couple of hours, but I usually start with a base mesh of a existing character model, and then of course we'll set the scale right.
So,
And
is this easier or difficult or harder or like about the same as like making monsters? Because monsters don't wear clothes, but clothes have a lot of detail, so.
yeah, so it really depends. On different cases. If the clothes are tight fitting, like this one, the tight fitting clothes and arm protect, I just treat it as a usual body parts because you can sculpt it following the underlying anatomic parts and anatomic structures. And for those more loose garments are different story. They're more challenging because those folds, those tiny little details of the cloth
Mhm.
texture, the cloth materials. Uh, Sculpting those folds can be really tricky and time consuming, but I can always do the simulation in 3D styling tools like Marvel Designer, like I mentioned, to simulate those things. And that will make things a little bit easier. But I still need to sculpt it in ZBrush since their minis are not really realistic
Mhm.
sculpts. And the most complete parts, I would say, it's those clothes with really weird styling and weird pattern and the stitching. That uh, really depends on what the clothes is. I can see what the project will take for all of them. For example, recently I was doing a really weird. I don't want to spoil anything how to describe it, so I won't spoil it. It's a kind of armor, but this armor was made of or covered by fabric. So that made a really weird pattern. So I need to even use program to generate those patterns on the clothes. So
Mhm.
that's a whole lot different approach.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. And, a lot of minis I think are going to end up wearing a lot of armor and things. So you
Yeah.
get mastering of folds and metal and all of those sorts of different materials.
Yeah, some armors are easy and they're classic, like middle century armors, knight armors, and some others are weird because those culturally different things.
Do
Make
you have a favorite
those.
kind of armor to work on?
Oh, recently I fell in love with this Gothic type of armor, the one that who wears Jenny the Saint.
Oh, yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I
That's
really
cool.
like the tricky design and those details, those garment on it.
So you like it not because it's easy, but because it's
Beautiful. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me.
And
That
just
that
do
does lead me to my next question,
yes.
which is what details do you add to clothes to make them look more realistic? Because like it's so small, you wouldn't think that like the sharpness on this gauntlet would be important, but I think it is.
Um, yeah, actually, I won't say that's about adding details. I would say that's more about exaggerating those details. So, for details that's so small on those minis, some of them would never be visible, like the small folds and the small uh, small buttons and those
Mhm.
kind of small folds would never be visible. So I just stripe away those things and push the main folds more, and so they can be they can be clear and more readable. And I also exaggerate those seams and the stitches and um, those rims, so it makes it look more chunkier than real life and even more chunkier than the 6-inch figures, and so they can actually show up while they when it was printed out.
Makes sense.
Yeah, for example, in this one, I would make the rim much thicker than the 6-inch figure.
Oh, yeah.
Little poly.
So how long for I guess how long have you been doing 3D sculpting and like how did you get into it? Because I can't imagine it's something that just kind of happens. Or is it? I don't know.
Well, so my career path to 3D sculpting was a bit twisted. I actually started as a film special effect makeup artist. I was sculpting monsters and zombies for films when I was in China. And actually, when I was in high school, I didn't really think I could go to college back then.
Mm,
And I love that work. That was interesting. You can see those actors or stars, and doing makeup was just fun. And you can do sculpting in real life, but I didn't. That job was not really sustainable. I only make about 100 yuan a day back then when I was an apprentice. That's about $14 a day. Even in China, that wasn't sustainable. That wasn't be able to feed me.
yeah.
And on top of that, the 3D VFX CGI effect was quickly taking over the industry. So I didn't really see a future in practical makeup. And that's when I decided to move into CGI art. And US has the strongest CGI art program, so that's how it led me to my college, Reading College, where I really started my 3D career. And then I do freelance and then do intern and do contract work full time. And now it's about many years. I can't remember exactly how many years, but at least 5 years.
Is it hard working with like just the because so I have done some like practical sculpting with clay and things, and sometimes
Uh-huh,
I get frustrated because I want things to look different because I know that they're going to be different colors when I paint them. Do you
uh-huh.
have that problem when you're like doing the 3D sculpting?
Not really for the minis because these minis I only in charge of the sculpting parts. We have professional painters that can take care of the other parts. But for other project like games project and film project, I do color them myself. But I use a different software called Substance Painter. It's a texture software like this. I did prepare an example.
Oh,
Yeah, like this. This is my usual project for Yes, my usual process for game or film project is doing the clothing in Marvelous. You mentioned doing the patterns like real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then sculpt it in ZBrush and give it color in Substance and finally render it out. And same for this guy. I've
That's
recently
so
been working on.
detailed. Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
this is for a game project, so it's more detailed and more
Wow.
realistic. But for a HeroScape project, it's more stylized, so it's a slightly different approach. You can see later on when I was doing the cape.
I'm excited for the cape.
Yeah, the cape is always the interesting part to do because the shape can because using the shape of the cape can adjust the overall silhouette of the character and it really gives personality of it by making different shapes, a different cape shape. And you can see later when I was doing it.
So how
Uh,
long does it take to sculpt like a mini of this detail like Cobra Commander?
um, it usually take me 2 or 3 days to get those parts down. And as for detailing, uh, that's that depends. Some just take longer time than some is shorter, some is simpler. But that really depends. But usually it take me 2 or 3 days to get only those parts done, like block it out, like the this level of detail.
I see. Oh, and we didn't talk, well, I didn't ask about so Cobra Commander, you don't have to mold a face for him. He's got his like his helmet, so the face isn't a problem. But the other option that I thought about giving you was Duke, who is like his face is out. What is the process for sculpting faces, especially because they're going to be so small, they're going to be, hard to see.
Um, Actually, that's one of my bad habits because I like sculpting faces. But technically, you won't need that many details on minis like this. But I usually start with face actually, and sometimes I just do extra detail on face. I didn't feel that's necessary for minis, but it just comforts myself. And I saw those printed out models. Some details I've made for them won't even show up. I don't know if I can show this. This stuff was already shown on already shown on
Ooh.
Gen Con this year.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so you see those wrinkles and the eyebrows, they won't and the teeth, they won't even show up. But I just like doing those details, and that makes me feel like the model is more completed. And the human eyes can, um, the human face can easily draw focus.
That makes
So
perfect sense. Yeah.
yeah, so I think making the face more detailed can make me feel more confident about this sculpt.
Oh, and we were gonna. I was gonna ask about his pose because he obviously the one that I sent you and the action figures have like
Mhm.
a specific pose. But how do you? Because he's a villain, so you kind of want him to look like a villain. How do
Yeah.
the poses like affect that?
Yeah, that's a tricky question, really, because the pose, even a tiny little tweak on the pose can make the character feel a lot different. I can demonstrate it
Oh yes.
using the base model. Like this is a neutral pose, right? And
Mhm.
for this pose, if oh, I need to delete the lower subdivision. Okay, you rotate the head to that angle, and that's neutral. But
Mhm.
if you tilt the head down a little bit, that looks kind of more evil. And if you tilt the head up a little bit, that looks more confident and heroic.
That's crazy. And it's only like a few degrees of difference. The difference that
Yeah,
makes, though.
and you can see the upper body that makes even larger difference. So for heroic characters, I want to make them look confident. So I would raise tilt his chest back a little bit, so that really makes him look cocky and justice.
Makes sense, of course, of
You
course,
see,
yeah.
now it look like a hero, but if you just move the head down a little bit and the chest
Yeah,
here
it looks
now
like
look
he's like
like
looking
he,
down on you.
yeah, he's staring at you, may want to kill you.
That's wow. What a difference.
Yeah, so making those tiny little tweaks really one of the other time-consuming parts when I was doing sculpting to really get the feeling of this character, the attitude of it.
How do you
Yeah.
decide how dramatic or subtle the fold should be?
Oh, so I think how dramatic? That's a tricky question since this depends on the style. Like for this kind of style, it's semi-realistic, not really realistic. I don't need to do those tiny little small wrinkles, but I want to exaggerate the main flow of the manifold. So when you made the clothes, you can see some of the folds are main folds. They are significantly larger than the others. And when you are doing realistic stuff, those tiny little small wrinkles, that's what makes the garment feel realistic.
Mhm.
But for those minis, you just want to keep those large parts and get rid of those small wrinkles, small folds. So
Is
it
it
make
hard
more
to work with
sense.
like capes on minis and things like that are like not attached to the body? Is there like a concern about it breaking off?
Uh, yeah, so I have a couple of different approach for the capes that is not blown up by wind. I can always fill up the gap between the cape and the sculpture itself. But for this kind of cape, I think I'll just make it really thick so it won't break off.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, speaking of this, I've done a couple of cape sculpt for hero scapes these days, and you will see it next year.
Oh, yes, I'm excited for those.
Yeah, and I really like the design. That's so cute.
I like how much care you put into each individual piece of the sculpt.
Yeah, every detail matters. Although it's just a 30 millimeter sculpt. But when you're painting, you can still see those details are
Hmm.
taken care of. So I don't want to disappoint those fans.
Yeah, and people love highlighting those little details and things that you might not see if you're not, painting it or if you're looking at it from across the table.
Yeah. They said actually 90% of the time making 3D model is you rotating it around, not actually making model.
You got to make sure it looks good from every angle.
Yeah, but sometimes just rotate it around for nothing. I just can't stop the desire to rotate it.
I looked away for 1 second and now it looks like a completely different helmet.
Yeah. Now it's just adding those tiny details on it.
I
And
think
two